Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Quest for Knowledge Symmetry. It's a project that deals with Wikipedia content, machine learning translation, and a lot of crazy ideas. So, if you love crazy ideas, you'll have 7 minutes of that. So, thank you first to Mozilla Fest for hosting this quick talk. And let's get into it. So my name is Valentine. I'm a student currently in bioethics at University of Montreal. I specifically care about the use of technology when it deals with a kind of ethical tension that can arise from using technologies. And I'm also the CEO of greybox.ca. We're based in Canada and we do social innovation, specifically right now, digital divide issues. So let's get into it. The project symmetry, let's start with the experience that some of you have when you go to Wikipedia. If you're listening to this talk, you might actually speak English, and what you are familiar with is this. So you get on Wikipedia, and you have a little message that says, "Welcome. There's 6.5 million articles of Wikipedia about anything you can dream of." But actually, not everybody sees the same thing. So if you're speaking, for example, French, I'm from Quebec, Canada, so we speak French there. There's about 2 million articles. If you speak Italian, you're getting close to 1 million article. I'm right now recording this from Ukraine. There's about 1 million article in that language too. So for many people, not only there's just not millions of articles, but also the quantity is a problem, but the quality of those articles, they're just not as long, they're just not as detailed as you might expect. So we're at Mozilla Fest, so some of you are technical. Let's give it a shot. I'll give a technical explanation of this. Don't worry if you're not technical, I think I'll have something for you as well. So think of Wikipedia is actually as a Git. So for example, GitHub. So each language is a different repository. It's its own project. Those communities don't necessarily talk to each other, right? And what happens when you join an organization where there's too many versions of the same information? Think of, for example, you have too many versions of the same Word document. Well, you're trying to perform a comparison. You're trying to find what is missing. You're trying to merge various versions of the documents, the way you'll do it with repos or branches. And of course, like Git, like Wikipedia, and like our project, we're trying to keep things open source. So let's keep that in mind as we go into the next slide. So here's our roadmap. Everything starts by identifying key articles. So an article like COVID, for example, you probably want to make sure there's a good translation about it. Then what we work with our team is we are working on a tool to scrape that content, then to translate it to another language, let's say French, Ukrainian, and such. And then here's the interesting part. I will spend a few minutes about it. We want to be able to compare the content semantically and suggest the missing content back to the Wikipedia community, and maybe even flag some missing, some biases or some kind of problems. And of course, we want to be able to monitor different changes to improve the process and maybe also spot some missed opportunities. So let's talk a bit more in detail about the scraping part. So Wikipedia is more than just text. You cannot just take, let's say, a Wikipedia article, copy paste it into Google Translate, and send that article to a Wikipedia editor. Because one thing that makes Wikipedia great is all those footnotes, all those references, right? So essentially, if you want to make sure that Wikipedia has the most of its value, and that's how we all got spent too much time with Wikipedia. You start browsing an article, you click on all those tabs, and you basically need to keep that. You need to keep the sources, but also you need to make sure that you want to work on a project that is modular. So that means that if somebody wants to use its own scraper, if somebody wants to use, for example, their own translation tool or their own comparison tool, maybe you want to think from the get-go in a way to do a project that allows for that. So for this, we have the help of the Central Connecticut State University, and those are students doing their internship right now, finishing their program. So the second part that is in many ways quite important here is the translation part. Now, there's a reason you need to go beyond Google Translate, or even some interesting tools like GPT-3 is an amazing tool, but GPT-3 can be very conveniently wrong about a topic. So we want to be able to experiment with various machine learning models so we can adjust them to a Wikipedia format. For example, keeping that notion of internal links and sources in mind. And also, we want to make sure that the translation process stays open and transparent. This is a huge problem with some of the existing tools. It will give you a translation, but you don't know exactly what it used as a base, for example. GPT-3 is an often quoted example. And also, there's kind of a lot of languages. There's 306 language on Wikipedia, and most language models only support a few. So we want to be able to test multiple models and see how they perform on various languages. Also, when we look at what the work we've been doing in the last few months, we tried a few models, let's say T5 and Merriam, and we compared it to the results you would get using Google Translate or DeepL. And so far, the results are pretty interesting. So what you look at is we look at articles like Hercules, the movie, India, the country, COVID-19. Well, we all know well, all too well what it is. The Beatles in terms of music, and René Descartes, which is a philosophical article. And what you see is that T5 and Merriam perform surprisingly well if you use the Blue Score, which is an often used benchmark tool to compare translations. So for example, GPT-3 really gives more approximative results. There's still many other models we want to try. And if you're interested in helping us out, there's models every few months. So we could definitely use a bit of help. For this, we have the help of the IBAC team. They're based in Tunisia. Also, the last part, and literally one of the most important part in so many ways, is the semantic comparison tool. So translation is not enough. You cannot just take 20 pages of translation, send it to an editor, and say, well, you know what, deal with it. For one simple reason, there is already an article about COVID, for example. So the editor will have to look at what is the new piece of information, what already is there. As a reference, Wikipedia already has a translation tool, but it only works for new article for that specific reason. You need a way to compare existing content. And also, you want to do it in a way that is quite flexible. So maybe the user, the editor, want to be able to see what content is similar or different between two pages. The user should also be able to adjust the sensibility of the comparison, maybe use another model, maybe use different kind of views, color schemes, and such. So here's a little preview of the tool that we have right now. Let me give here. So essentially what you see is we took an article from a language and we translated it in English. Both, so that way I can present what it looks like. Both versions are in English, and what you see is the original article on the left, and the version on the right is in English. So the version on the left has been translated to English, and you see naturally the semantic model already kicks in and can tell you color coded here what is the piece of content that you can find from left to right. This is very useful for an editor to be able to quickly detect what content is missing or what content could use some improvement. And for this, we have the help of the University of Albany team. Same thing, people studying coding, software skills, and etc., finishing their program. So what's the next step for us? So the most important part when you work on a project like this is community integration. It's not enough to have an interesting tool. You want to make sure that the Wikipedia community can use it so we can get feedback, improve the user experience and such. And also we want to be able to support more models when it comes to machine learning. There's new models all the time, and also different use cases. There's other sites that are using the Wikipedia structure, the wiki structure, and also any kind of other sites that have to deal with a lot of knowledge across different language. What is the objective long term? Well, for us is it's kind of a crazy project maybe, but it's to try to merge the world's knowledge. So regardless if you speak French, Ukrainian, English, and such, you should be able to access the same amount of information. And using this as a tool allows you to detect, to identify conflicting information and biases. So essentially, Academy has a fantastic structure that is also used in Wikipedia, where if, for example, for a historical event, you have multiple versions of that, well, you have to mention every single version and also use sources. And if there are cases where that information is tampered with or inaccurate, it's more easy to spot. So we need your help. We're about to launch a testing of that tool. So if you want to give it a shot, please follow us on our social media. If you have experience in machine learning models or software development, there's a lot of things to do. I could definitely use your input, me and my team. And also, if you're just curious or have any questions or suggestions, follow us on social media. You can see the accounts or just search for my name. Thank you so much for your time. It took a bit longer than 7 minutes, but you're here. If you're curious, you can take a look on the channel. There's other kind of projects we work. Project Symmetry is just one of them. We have other projects as well. Thank you so much. Have a great day.